It's time for us to have some fun. Guess what? We're in Unit 10 and we are looking at our fun article of the month. And it's about music and music idioms. It's time to rock and roll, Mike.
Okay, we're going to rock and roll. We're going to sing, dance, and repeat, it says. I'm not sure I can do all of that again and again and again. Maybe I can sing, dance, take a break, and then sing a bit more, and then dance, and then maybe repeat. But anyways, we're actually talking about musical idioms that rock our language. Terms, expressions, ways of saying things that have been taken from the world of music and have been sort of expanded or used in other areas of life. These are ways to sort of pass on simple ideas, to express yourself in an interesting way, possibly, and they all have musical roots. So I'm kind of curious as to find out what some of these are.
I would imagine that you would be, since I know that you're a musical fellow yourself.
I like music. Yeah, music's good.
Music. And you do like records, so we're going to get a chance for you to talk about records actually today
great.
as well.
All right, it's a good day.
It is, and I love the title, just to mention real quickly, the sing, dance, repeat that we have. It makes me think of like rinse, wash, repeat. It's like when you are going through a laundry cycle or a dishwashing cycle, or a toothbrushing cycle. It's a cycle, right? Sing, dance, repeat. Sing, dance, repeat. You do it over and over again, and that's the circle. And it's kind of a cute way to describe that. Why don't we take a moment now? We'll listen to our article through one time. Music is not only a form of entertainment, but also a powerful influence on language. Many English idioms have musical origins, bringing color and energy to conversations. These expressions continue to shape modern language and culture. Let's explore some fascinating musical idioms and uncover their origins and meanings. Swan song. The phrase is deeply rooted in mythology and artistic traditions. It comes from the ancient belief that swans sing a beautiful song before they die. This idiom is often used to describe someone's ultimate performance before retirement, whether in professional milestones or artistic performances. For example, a famous athlete retiring after winning a championship might describe that victory as their swan song. Face the music. This expression means to confront the unpleasant consequences of one's actions. Some believe it began in theater, where actors had to face the music by standing in front of the orchestra pit, overcoming stage fright. Others suggest it's linked to military traditions. In the past, American soldiers who were dismissed for misconduct would undergo a ceremony accompanied by specific drum beats. Today, this phrase means to take responsibility for one's actions. For instance, if a student skips class and later has to explain their absence to a teacher, they must face the music. Like a broken record, the idiom refers to someone who repeats the same thing over and over. It comes from scratched vinyl records that cause a sound to loop. People often use this phrase to describe individuals who constantly repeat concerns, often sounding annoying to others. For example, if a friend keeps complaining about their boyfriend or girlfriend, you might say they sound like a broken record. Now, I know you didn't know this, Mike, but music is not only a form of entertainment.
Really?
No,
oh my gosh.
Also a powerful influence on language. And I think that's pretty obvious if you think about all the songs you've listened to in life and how the lyrics in those songs have probably come up in your head as you're walking down the street from day to day. We were talking the other day about an oasis in a lovely Brazilian park, and I was sitting there thinking of the band Oasis, and my brain went to "Don't Look Back in Anger," and that's just kind of the way music can just pop up and show up in our lives every single day. We don't know why, but all of a sudden we catch ourselves, humming a nice little tune or thinking of a song that we really like that means something to us, that brings up passion and emotion in our life at a given time.
That's very true. I mean, it was only a few years ago that people were always telling me to let it go, let it go. And I would always say, stop telling me to let it go. I've never even seen the cartoon Frozen. But yeah, it did sort of enter the common culture, popular culture. Sure, there were politicians using it in speeches and, jokes being made about it in all sorts of ways. So yes, in the same way that great works of art, also great plays or movies, have these quotes, these famous lines, to be or not to be, that kind of thing, music does as well. It says many English idioms have musical origins, bringing color and energy to conversations. In the same way, yeah, it's true that many English idioms might have dramatic or Shakespearean origins, right? They're taken from the works of Shakespeare because they're so famous, so well-known, so widely enjoyed. Same with songs. And these idioms, wherever they come from, can bring color and energy to conversations. They're also things that native speakers might use very naturally. So if you want your English to sound a bit more like a native speaker, it's useful to have a few idioms in your pocket to use, when the situation arises. But you can overdo it if you just sort of walk around as a living idiom library. You will sound a little bit strange, like an AI gone wrong. So idioms are good to use in small amounts. Think of them as like spice in your food. You don't want to eat a whole bowl of spice, but if you add a little bit of spice to something, it will make it more interesting and more memorable, and also just, taste nicer. It says these expressions continue to shape modern language and culture. Yeah, and like let it go, as an example, they change over time. So, this generation's idioms might be completely unknown and completely mysterious to the next generation, or maybe they'll stick around for a long time, like some of the idioms we'll be learning about today, or I would actually say like most of the idioms we'll be learning about today and tomorrow. So what should we do?
Well, I guess one thing we should do is explore, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should explore some fascinating musical idioms and uncover their origins and meanings. So to uncover something means to take the cover off of it, to go from a state where it's maybe covered with a cloth of some sort or another to hide what's underneath it and take that away, or to basically dig in and look into something is what we're doing in this case of uncover. We're going to go into these mysterious depths of these idioms and find out what the background is for these idioms and where they come from exactly. One of the first ones we're going to see is swan song. And I don't know why, but for me, when I hear swan song, some people might think of Swan Lake. Me, I think of the fact that Led Zeppelin had Swan Song records, and they had a song called Swan Song. So Led Zeppelin, a band from England that was around in the 70s, 80s. This phrase, swan song, has nothing to do with that necessarily. The phrase is deeply rooted, so it's very, very, very connected to mythology. And mythology being, the stories, a lot of times we'll think about Greek and Roman mythology, where gods and humans interact, the fables, the tales of how gods did things and caused humans to suffer or make changes in their lives, brought fire about, brought knowledge about, turned them into different kinds of creatures, probably like swans, and also artistic traditions, right? So it's deeply connected to mythology and artistic traditions. Artistic here meaning being of art, so maybe of paintings, of music, of different elements of things that you like in art, of drawings, of photography. These are all different expressions of art. Artistic traditions, who knows why? We'll have to find out. It says it comes from the ancient belief that swans sing a beautiful song before they die.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is that kind of belief. And it's also, of course, mirrored in the famous Swan Lake Ballet, which has the swan not singing a beautiful song, but sort of doing this beautiful dance before it dies. So this idiom, this expression, someone's swan song, for example, is often used to describe someone's ultimate performance before retirement, whether in professional milestones or artistic performances. So yes, if it is someone's swan song, it is probably the final performance or their final appearance in their sort of role, in the role that they are famous for, have established themselves in. It's the final one that they do before they sort of go off to retirement, or more poetically before they go off to die or something like that, in the same way that there was that mistaken belief, I believe, that swans would sing a beautiful song before they die. As it says, it would be a professional milestone, possibly, or an artistic performance. A milestone just meaning some great achievement that you would make. Now, there will be actual milestones. This goes back to Roman roads, which used to be marked with a stone every mile, so you could, figure out where you were and how far you had to travel. But we use this term not in a way of measuring distance, but in measuring kind of, accomplishments in your life. Graduating from high school, graduating from college, getting married, having a child, buying your own house, that kind of thing. These are milestones. And of course, in your career, you might have a milestone, your first big performance, 20 years with the same company, these kinds of accomplishments that sort of provide the milestones or provide the markers to our lives of the things that we do and the accomplishments that we achieve. Or a professional performer, their artistic performance, one of their final ones or the final one, could also be described as a swan song. For example, here's a good one. A famous athlete retiring after winning a championship might describe that victory as their swan song. So it's the last game that they play for the team that they've been on for many years. They've won many championships, set many records, and here it is. It's their last performance, their last go in this sport or whatever it is that they've made their name in. And after this, they're going to go off and retire, and who knows, they might still be in the public eye, but the thing that they did that made them famous, they will no longer be doing that. They will be retiring from some phase, at least, of their career. And when you retire, it's basically you've quit working. You've reached a certain age, or you've achieved all of your goals. Maybe you've also saved a lot of money because you've decided to stop working, not because you were fired, but because you chose to do this. And also it gives us the idea that you've been doing it for a while, you've reached a certain level of success, of accomplishment, and now it's kind of time for you to take a break and go do other things and let the next generation come along and take over. So many famous athletes will retire, in their 30s or 40s or something like that. And their last performance, their last game, or if it's an artist, their last performance on the stage will be their swan song.
This is not our swan song, but our Chinese teacher is going to talk to us for a little bit right now.
Hello everyone, 我是 Patrick. 今天讲解的是暑期合刊 Unit 10 Sing, Dance, Repeat Musical Idioms that Rock Our Language. 这是第一天的课程内容。大家已经学习英文有一段时间了，对英文最感兴趣的是哪一方面呢？我个人最喜欢的是英文里面有很多生动有趣的表达方式，比方说像我觉得动物就有很多的片语，比方说 as busy as a bee 是用来形容很忙碌嘛，那或者说I got a lion's share 那就表示呢我拿到了最大的那一份。好，那人类行为和我们对动物习性了解结合的时候，脑中就会产生很有趣的意象嘛。那今天呢，我们杂志要介绍的主题呢，只是和音乐相关的一些片语。好，那包括 swan song face the music 还有 like a broken record。好，第一天呢介绍3个片语，我们分别来看一下到底是什么样的意思。不过在一刚开始的时候呢，作者先介绍一下，就是音乐其实不只是拿来当娱乐，后面的 but also 才是重点所在， but also a powerful influence on language。音乐对语言呢也是非常有影响的。再来我们看一下第2个句子，就让我们知道说有很多英文的片语呢，其实呢它都是跟音乐有关系的，这个片语的起源跟音乐有关系。那这样子看到逗点之后 bringing color and energy to conversations， 那如果说这些片语有音乐的源头会怎么样呢？那后面就是效果结果，会让我们的对话是比较不会无聊，会让人家觉得比较活泼。好，那我们看一下第4个句子 Let's explore some fascinating musical idioms and uncover their origins and meanings。 所以作者要带着我们一起来发现揭开这些片语它们的起源，让我们了解到底是什么样子的意思。先看到第一个是 swan song， 那基本上这个呢其实是跟我们说的希腊罗马神话有关系 mythology 有关。那但是呢我们先了解一下 swan song 在现代到底是用来表达什么。比方说有一些 名人，不论说是在哪一个领域，他们要退休前的这个告别作，那我们通常呢就会用 swan song 来表达。好 ，describe someone's ultimate performance before retirement。好，像我们看到第4个例句，比方说很有名的运动员啊，那他呢可能得到了冠军之后就后来就退隐了。那一次的这个冠军呢，我们就可以说这是他的 swan song。
All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. So we've had our swan song, and now it's time for us to face the music.
Oh, dear.
A lot of times when I think of face the music, I think of Sunday being done, going to bed, and Monday morning you're getting up and you need to get ready and go to work, and you've got to face the music.
Oh, I think about it as being in trouble and having to go home and have my parents go, all right, what have you done?
It's all your fault.
At that point, I am facing the music. I am having to answer for my mistakes or pay for my mistakes.
And it's your mistake of deciding to do the job. So it's your unpleasant consequence that you need to go and do the job.
When my parents were angry, I never liked that music.
No.
I never liked that song.
Not a fun one.
No.
This expression means to confront the unpleasant consequences of one's actions. Consequences being things that are the result of something that you've done. So it's if you've done something bad, your consequences are probably going to be pretty bad. Like you said, your mom and dad are going to give you a talking to and a lecture to tell you what you've done. I guess you can probably have good consequences if you do good things, but most times we think about bad consequences because it's a kind of a way to stop us from doing bad things. Don't do that. There are going to be consequences. You're going to be in trouble. Some believe it began in theater, where actors had to face the music by standing in front of the orchestra pit, overcoming stage fright. So if you think about it, if you're up on a stage looking out at the audience, the only thing really that's between you and the audience is the orchestra pit, and that's where all the musicians are sitting. And normally they put that kind of recessed into the ground, or at least, kind of level with the stage so the musicians don't stick out and block the audience's view of the actors. They're kind of down in the ground. And that's why it's called a pit, because it's like a little deep hole that they're in, and they're kind of stuck in there. Probably pretty cozy once you're in there. But for the actor who's standing on the stage, if they're facing the music, they're facing those musicians who are in front of them and trying to get over their stage fright. Stage fright just being, that feeling of like, oh my God, what are my lines? I've forgotten everything. I'm so scared. Look at all these people. That you might suddenly feel when you're on stage. Others suggest it's linked to military traditions. In the past, American soldiers who were dismissed for misconduct would undergo a ceremony accompanied by specific drum beats. So is it music? Is it being on stage? Or is it with the soldiers? Is it something with soldiers? If you were dismissed, it means that you are told to go away. Class can be dismissed where they tell you class is over. It's done. You go home now. Things are good. But this kind of dismissal is probably one where you're either going to not be in the military anymore, or you're going to be in the doghouse. You're going to be in big trouble. And normally that's because it's for something for like misconduct, so behaving badly. So you go through a ceremony that has these specific drum beats. And I didn't know anything about this, but I thought it was pretty interesting. You're facing the music in the military.
Absolutely. It could be for your trial. It could be, as Leah said, unceremoniously kicked out of the military. Or in worst case scenarios, and I believe there were specific drum beats, they would hang you. If you abandon your post in battle or attack an officer, these are death penalty crimes, capital crimes in the military. And yes, that would happen. Or back in the old days, they would just whip people a lot, right? They would give them the lash. But anyways, today, this phrase means to take responsibility for one's actions. So in the same way, that soldier who disobeys their commanders or breaks the rules might have to take responsibility and be punished for their bad behavior. If you're facing the music, the same thing is happening to you, although hopefully you won't get hung or whipped. For instance, if a student skips class and later has to explain their absence to a teacher, they must face the music. And, oh, that never happened to me. Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, that did happen to me and probably my parents too. So yes, if you get in trouble and now you have to sort of face your crimes, you have to take responsibility for your actions and hope that you don't get punished too badly, but you are there doing the right thing in the end, taking responsibility for your mistakes of the past. You are facing the music. I just hope that they go easy on you.
That is something that you would definitely hope for. I'm going to turn this back over to you in a second because we've got something that you like here, Mike.
Broken records? I don't like broken
you don't like
records.
Broken records, but you definitely like records. I know you are a record collector.
I do.
So like a broken record just means something that you're going to hear over and over again. A lot of times when I think about the expression like a broken record, well, if my mom is really nagging me to get my room cleaned, she sounds like a broken record. And why is that the case?
That's a good question. Well, yeah, like a broken record, that's our idiom. And the idiom refers to someone who repeats the same thing over and over. Okay, so they could be saying the same thing over and over, like, what do you want to do today? What do you want to do today? What do you want to do today? Like, oh, you're such a broken record. Or it could just be they kind of keep talking about the same topic over and over again. Like your friend who saw a great movie yesterday and they just keep telling you about, oh, you really should see it. And then there's this scene, and then at the end, and then the beginning, oh, and the music was so good. You're like, okay, you're a broken record about this movie. I'll go see it. You don't have to keep telling me about it. So they're repeating the same thing, either the exact same words, which would be extra annoying, or they're just sort of, going on about the same topic way beyond when it was interesting. It is no longer interesting. It's getting annoying, and they sound like a broken record. Where does it come from? It comes from scratched vinyl records that cause a sound to loop. So yeah, we're talking about those big black records, most of them about 12 inches or, a certain number of centimeters, around 30 centimeters across. And they are vinyl. They are made of a plastic. We call that vinyl. And they're, still used today. Actually, they're kind of popular. I think you can find, Taylor Swift vinyl records out there in the stores. But if they get scratched, they suddenly have problems. You might just hear a click every time the record goes around and the needle goes over that scratch, or it might actually cause the needle to jump or to skip, which is the word that we would use. And it might actually jump back a few seconds, so you'll hear the same piece of music, you'll hear the same piece of music, you'll hear the same piece of music, or whatever it is, repeating like a loop, as it says there. A loop being a small amount of, often string would be a loop, and if you kind of form it into a circle, as if it's kind of going around and around and around on itself, that is what we're talking about here. So it basically causes the record or the music to repeat. And it is very annoying, and it basically means that at least that part of the song you have to kind of avoid in the future because the record won't continue to play through to the end. Now, most record collectors will be very annoyed by that, but having a broken record in that way is probably less annoying than having someone around you who is a broken record, as it says about the people who use this phrase to describe who?
People who often use this phrase, or people often use this phrase to describe individuals who constantly repeat concerns. Oh, my life is so sad. Oh, I'm so sad. Oh, life is so boring.
So unlucky. No one likes me.
Yeah, I'm repeating that concern over and over again. While it's very important that people be able to express themselves, but when they say it over and over again, it often sounds annoying to others. So, it's good to let people know you're not doing so well. It's maybe good to let them know over the course of multiple days that you're not doing so well. But if it's the only thing you're talking about, you start to sound annoying to others. And annoying just here means it bothers others. A mosquito that keeps going around you and trying to land on you is annoying to you because it's going to cause you pain if it bites you and sucks your blood. So it bothers you. It annoys you. Your little brother or sister might be really annoying to you because they just won't go away. Things that don't go away. So something that's repeated over and over again doesn't go away. And for example, we have here, if a friend keeps complaining about their boyfriend or girlfriend, you might say they sound like a broken record. They're just really caught up on like how that person is doing them wrong. My boyfriend, he just isn't nice to me. He keeps forgetting my birthday. He doesn't remember to buy me flowers. He never calls me. I call him all the time. These, it sounds kind of boring. It's kind of annoying to hear that all the time. So your friend might tell you, if you're talking about this boyfriend all the time, that you sound like a broken record. Knock it off. Stop skipping back to the same topic and looping again and saying it over and over and over again.
Absolutely. Now, like a lot of idioms, context and your audience is quite important. You wouldn't want to tell your boss that they sound like a broken record.
Nope.
If they keep saying, have you gotten that report done? Or how are sales this month? Like, you asked me about the sales yesterday, boss. You're such a broken record. Well, in that case, maybe keep it to yourself. You can think it or tell other people that your boss is a broken record, but you do want to avoid using this because it could be offensive. And, possibly like your boss, they have real concerns that they're just trying to communicate or that they're just trying to repeat to show how important they are. But yes, definitely if you have a friend who keeps going on about the same thing, even way beyond when it was interesting, you could definitely say that they're a broken record, but do it in a nice way.
Someone who is never a broken record, someone who is never annoying is our Chinese teacher. Let's listen now.
好，接下来呢，我们就看到第二个片语咯 ，face the music 是承担自己行为的后果。This expression means to 那到底这个片语 face the music 是什么意思呢？就是 confront the unpleasant consequences of one's actions。那等于呢自己做了某些事情，采取了某些行动，那即使呢再怎么样不愿意去面对它的后果，那请注意这里的 consequences 前面有一个形容词 unpleasant。这样子后果呢，通常是会让我们觉得不舒服、不自在不喜欢的。那但是还是要去面对的时候，我们会说 face the music。那第二个句子开始作者告诉我们说，其实有两个可能的起源，一个呢可能是跟剧场，等于是呢这些话剧的表演有关的。那演员他们要克服自己的，我们说。他们很多演员可能怕怯场嘛，那么他要先站在这个乐池之前来 face the music。那另外一个呢，可能跟军队有关系，那可能这些美国的士兵呢，他们犯了错，因为呢不良的行为，他必须呢要退伍，要离开的时候，那可能就会必须要听到这个所谓的鼓声 drum beats 嘛，那之后。就必须要被迫退伍了，这 face the music， 他们要为自己的行动呢负起责任来。所以我们看到第五个句子告诉我们，这个片语目前一般而言，大家在讲 face the music 的时候，都是指 you have to take responsibility for your actions。再来，我们看到最后一个片语是 like a broken record， 那就像一张坏掉的唱片一样。好，那这所指的当然就是一个人不断的像跳针一样，一直在重复一样的东西。我们中文常会说，就是他好像跳针一直在说什么什么。那英文呢，则是会说 like a broken record。好，请看到第一个句子 ，The idiom refers to someone who repeats the same thing over and over。老师刚刚已经说了，我们中文会说你是在跳针吗？那英文呢，只是说someone is acting like a broken record， right？ 好，那为什么会有这样的起源呢？请看到第二个句子 ，It comes from scratched records that cause a sound to loop。那就等于是黑胶唱片刮伤了嘛，所以它的音轨呢就不断的一直重复的播放。好，那通常呢是用来指有一些人他们就是一直在讲絮絮叨叨的，不断的碎碎念，一直在讲重复的东西，让人觉得很烦的时候，所以请看到。They often sound annoying to others， 所以这些人呢会让人家觉得很烦比方讲，假设说有个朋友一直在抱怨自己的男朋友或女朋友的时候呢，那我们当然有些人就会说 They sound like a broken record， 就像跳针一样，一直在讲对方的缺点。好，以上就是我们针对这三个片语所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
Hey Mike.
Yeah.
all these idioms have really struck a chord with me. Bring.
Oh, gosh.
That's another one, guys.
That's another one.
That's
Good
another
Lord.
one.
And we will have more tomorrow. Not that one, I don't think.
No,
we're going to have
like
a couple other tomorrow. We're going to be dancing. We're going to be jumping. And we are going to be marching to the beat of our own drum.
We're going to sing, dance, and repeat.
Come back and join us for that, everyone.
I'm Leah.
I'm Mike.
Take care.
Bye-bye.